There we go. Hey, happy Thursday to you guys. Hope you're doing well wherever you're watching from tonight. You ever have one of those days where it's just kind of like information overload? Because that's what I've got going on today, where there's so much stuff going on in both Florida and Orlando. So I'm excited to get through some of this stuff today as much as possible. But really, more than anything, we're so excited to see and hang out with you tonight. I am, anyways. And so let's start there. Let's figure out where are you guys watching from tonight. A bunch of you guys already know the drill. You got Brenda checking in from St. Charles. Good to see you. Kevin checking in from Bella Colina. Love the new house. It's so peaceful here. Congratulations. I'm so excited. You're right. Bella Colina, Montverde, that whole area is just like, there's just something different. And it's not that far from everything. So I'm excited that you're having a good time at the new place. Robert's checking in from Claremont. Good to see you. We've got Pickles checking in from Hills of Mineola. We've got people from outside of Orlando too. Victor hanging out from Denver, Colorado. Tommy checking in from Honolulu. Travis McKee, my dude. Good to see you right here from Horizon West. Good to see you, my man. David, the Great Smoky Mountains. I've never been to the Smoky Mountains. Something that I think I might need to consider. Kathy, I feel like you're a new time watcher, new time viewer from, I'm not going to say Kennebuck, Maine, that you want to move. I appreciate it. I was once there where I wanted to move, and now we're here. So we can make that happen for you as well. Today, we're talking about a lot of things, and please keep checking in down below. It really does help with so many things, how we take the content, lets me know who's watching. Is it locals? Is it people from elsewhere in the country? It does help. But tonight, we're going to break down a bunch of stories. Number one, I want to talk about this story that I think is interesting because Orlando is among the top cities for starting a new business, this local study finds. And so for me, this is interesting because I moved here in 2016. I started a new business and I'm just sort of curious, like, how do they actually rank some of these things? Because you have many, many businesses. When I think about business, Orlando, I know that things are blowing up here and that things are doing really well. And there's lots of new businesses despite everything that's going on in the commercial sector. But I automatically think Miami, Austin, a lot of other places. Boston is doing really well. But according to this, we are number 3 based on the number of businesses applied for per 1,000 homeowners. And so the city beautiful came behind only Atlanta and Miami. So another one right here in Florida, but ranked ahead of Austin, San Francisco, and Dallas, and really was pretty close to Tampa and Jacksonville. So they took the top 50 cities, broke this down per 1,000 residents, and they also looked at venture capital, job growth, and then a bunch of other replacements. I found this interesting. For one, this study was actually late 2018 to 2021. So a lot's changed since then. We've gotten a lot more businesses moving here, a lot more people moving here, bringing small businesses inside their home and that sort of thing. But there was a 9.2% growth in that 3 years that they looked at this from the Census Bureau. And so it's massive. And so they go on to attribute why they think this might be. And like, you look at the corporate tax for the city of Orlando, it's 5.5% compared to 18.3% in New York State, which is like aggressive to say the least. You look over here, there's a lot of other cool things when you look at jobs. And so I'll put the report down below at the end of this when we do our show notes. Make sure you check it out if you're interested. That study was done by the Business Journal, by the way. Fantastic work by them. But it's interesting to me. So I put this comment over on LinkedIn, and I was asking people, have you started a business? And I'm asking you guys the same question. So let me know down below. Did you move here, start a business, or maybe considering starting a business, and just you looked at moving to Florida as a positive for that? We know a lot of people move here for our tax climate. It's Texas, Nevada, Florida, I feel like are the 3 reasons and places where people move because low corporate tax and no state income tax. So I'm just curious down below. Are you a business owner, something that you're looking to do? Let me know down below. Jonas is checking in from Brazil. Good to see you, my friend. Let's see, Don Kelly checking in from Rhode Island. Capstone checking in from Alabama. We appreciate that. Let's see. A bunch of other cool people hanging out here tonight. Got Viz. Oh, why is this not doing this? Here we go. There we go. Visual CQ checking in from NYC. Good to see you. Hope you and your hubby are doing well tonight. Thanfer says, hey, where's the best place to start a small business in Orlando? This is the question that I was hoping for. So I think you have to really pare it down and ask what kind of business. If it's a food related business, obviously you want foot traffic. And if that's the case, there's a lot of really cool downtown areas. I like the Mills 50 area is growing and blowing up. Soto is growing and blowing up. Every time I think about like new little shops like that, I think about those two areas. But you don't want to go wrong with some of the other more emerging areas. There's places like, again, like Horizon West where I live that are like craving great restaurants and not like Miller's Ale House. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a little diversity would go a really long way. But we've got a lot of these really cool downtown areas that people love to support. Locals, this is the one thing I was telling somebody earlier today, is that Orlando loves to support local, and we're really good with collaboration. And so working with other business owners is one of the reasons I think this is doing so well. So it depends on the kind of business you're looking for. Don't start a dentist office. Oh my gosh. I feel like there's like 42 dentists opening up every 2 days that I drive around. That's maybe exaggerating, but a lot of dentists moving here. But if you are a dentist, obviously it'd be easy to find a job because they keep popping up everywhere. Let's see. Capstone says, if San Francisco is listed in the top 5 best places to start a new business, then it's bogus list. No, I didn't see them on here. Let's see. Bogus list. Obviously, this was 2021. Well, that was post-COVID. Let's see. Austin, Texas, San Francisco is number 5, and Dallas was number 6. Yeah, I guess you're right. San Francisco, this is small business. We'll see. Robert says, my wife is interested in networking, connecting with a women's power group. Man, let me think about that. It depends on the industry. Actually, let me know what industry she in. I might have a couple options for you. Johnny, you checking in from Livonia, Michigan. Hope you're doing well on opening day in Detroit. This is like a holiday. This is the people call off work probably in every city, but the only city that I know outside of Orlando is Detroit. And it's basically a holiday there. Spring, first day, MLB season. I hope you're having a great time. All right. So I don't know. I'm thinking about this. My experience as somebody who started a small business in Orlando has been fantastic. For one, sourcing talent here has been really easy. I talk to people that used to be at the hospitality industry with Disney, Universal, and maybe they're just done with the theme park life or the tourism life, and they're looking for something a little bit different. A lot of our staff members and the real estate agents as well that work on our team were once worked for Disney as cast members, which is cool. But I think you look at UCF is such a great feeder for so many engineering. They're pumping out engineers like crazy at this point. And it's really cool to see businesses thriving with people that already live here and how the synergy between the different industries are really good. So for me, it's been a great place to find talent. And I think that business owners could do better by moving here and starting something. So kind of interesting. Marcus says he's checking in from I-4. Tampa to Orlando is super crazy, massive delays. Well, I don't know, which way are you going? I'm kind of curious. That's an interesting one. I-4 though, rest in peace. I hope you have nothing else to do this afternoon. David says that he's thinking about checking in, trying to finish carpentry in Orlando. David, there's a lot of really great builders here. There's some not great builders that maybe don't need finished carpentry, but there's some beautiful builders here that do. And because it's interesting, we're still seeing a really good amount of growth in the luxury space for new construction. Resale, not as much. Like stuff that was built in the 90s and early 2000s, not seeing as much of that. But the new construction is doing really well. And so if you're if you're like an actual craftsman, we need you. So I'm glad you're here. You should have no problem finding a job. Martin says, what's up, everybody? D checking in from New York. Soon I'll be moving to St. Cloud and waiting on my new construction to be completed. Congratulations. That's amazing. That's so cool. All right. What other things we got going on? The next couple stories, like I try to stay super down the middle politically. Oops, got a lot of control there. Jeez, oh Pete's. I try to stay super down the middle of politics because I just don't like getting involved one way or the other. Half of you guys might be one side and the other side. Anyways, we're going to talk about something that Ron DeSantis did this today, though, because I think it actually is great for the state. And when I'm going to call it like I see it. So there was actually 28,000 acres of Florida natural lands that link existing conservation areas. And they are doing one of the largest investments into conservation that we've seen, I think, in the state's history. They said there's like 40,000 acres they're looking to add to this. It says the Florida legislature has committed more than $1.25 billion to the Florida Forever program, including $100 million in recurring annual funding. This consistent funding has enabled Florida Department of economic protection to acquire over now 220,000 acres of land, 90% of which are within the Florida wildlife corridor. And so for those of you that say like, hey, there's so much development going on, they're tearing down all the trees, Florida is going to be paved over and then covered with water. That's usually what I hear in the comment section. Florida is going to be paved over, then covered in water. Here's a cool thing I think going on in our state right now. The state is investing in conservation, and we have some of the most beautiful conservation land here. The amount of times that I've been able to go on a kayak trip and or just drive through some of this is just amazing. But you might be asking yourself, as I was not too long ago, where is said Florida wildlife corridor? So I want to show you guys what some of this stuff looks like because it's kind of amazing. Let's move this over here. So everything you see in dark green is that 220,000 acres, which is going to sounds like go to over 250,000,000 acres. All the green here, all the way from the Panhandle down. Here we go. Sorry, trying to get rid of some of these things so you can see. So look at all these massive. You got these state parks here, Blackwater Forest up top, all the way down, and it kind of connects all the way through down to the Everglades and here. So very cool. Not only are they going to set aside conservation land that can never be built on, but then they're going to fund it to take care of it and make sure that it's something that all of us can live in and enjoy for years to come. So I think it's very cool. Really cool progress. Yeah, Kevin says that's great progress. Can always use more natural land and conservation efforts. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot more about that in the future because I do believe that it's an important thing. Vito says 100%. Lots of hospitality talent move to higher paying industries. We've got elite guest services skills. Dude, well said, Vito. It's kind of wild to think how many people will go to like a really nice restaurant and you're typically like, oh yeah, I started at Disney. Now I live here or work here. And it's wild to see the way that they tier up. And then eventually they say either they're crushing it there or maybe they want to move on. And so why not hire somebody that is trained in world-class service and world-class hospitality? They make great employees and great people that you'd want in your company. So Orlando's a feeder for that, which, dude, I'm excited about it. Constance says, what's Four Seasons has made some very cool bobcats and other wildlife. That's true. So you guys know I live in Horizon West. We have conservation surrounds our neighborhood. And over the past month, I've seen 4 bobcats, probably the same one 3 times. But one of them was small, like a little cub. And scares me running at night, that's for sure, because I'm a night runner and I'm nervous that one of these little guys are going to jump out. For sure. Have you guys heard what's going on with the squatting problem? Like squatting, like people hanging out in houses that aren't theirs. This is some other interesting thing that's coming down from the governor's office over the past couple of days. Florida's latest state to target squatters after DeSantis signs property rights law. And actually USA Today, which I usually don't use as a source, but they actually did a pretty down the middle breakdown of this. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law late Wednesday a property rights bill which aims to help homeowners remove squatters more quickly. And so instead of it says standing in front of a lectern, he said ending the squatter scam. DeSantis said that this was the first of its bill of the kind, and basically they're trying to have a one-pager that homeowners, property owners can sign and then hire a sheriff to come in to help them evict squatters. So if somebody actually wasn't there. Now, some people are very confused by all of this. Why the uptick in squatters? And it's the pandemic, and then it's also the economy and a lot of other things. But really, what happened, if you look over here, you had over states like California were a big one, that during the pandemic they actually changed a lot of their tenant rights to give a lot more leeway to tenants. And so going back through here, California's take squatting crisis into their own hands. You've got a lot of people that are they don't want to kick out the squatters because it seems a little dangerous. But there's this story that Newsweek went through. They talk about how they have this 80-year-old couple. They had an investment property. People were in there and they wouldn't leave. And then they were getting death threats and sort of stuff like that. If you go over on TikTok, there's actually how-to videos on TikTok on how to squat for years and months in the states that have really, really lenient tenant laws. And so I'm all for protecting tenants because I think that it needs to be a bit of a balance, right? I'm also into property owner rights, especially as a landlord. Like I want to be as absolutely fair as I can to my tenants, take care of them really well, make sure the houses are really well taken care of. And then when it's time for the lease to be over, it's time for them to move on. And so there's a lot of squatting going on. And so now there's going to be actually laws in place where they will kind of fast track the way that they can get squatters out of houses if they're not there legally. So let me know what you guys think. Kevin says it's a tough subject to get into. Yeah, absolutely, man. It is a definitely, but it's interesting from somebody where somebody I'm in real estate. And so people reach out to me to buy investment properties, and many of them are selling in states like California and New York and just saying like, hey, you know, maybe I'm not going to get, you know, maybe I'm not going to get some appreciation that I was hoping for, although Orlando's doing extremely well. Maybe, I've lived in California for the past 50 years with my family, but I'm ready to go, because what they don't want to happen is that their investment property they've worked so hard for, that many of people will use for their retirement funds, that all of a sudden people can come in and squat and then not leave. And then all of a sudden, I can see both sides, but mostly the, property rights I think are important. Let's see. Cynthia says, what are your thoughts about Prairie and St. Cloud? We're a family of four looking to buy a townhouse in Orlando. What other areas would you recommend under 350 looking for new construction? So Prairie and St. Cloud, it's very rare when I get stumped, and that's one that you just stumped me in regards to the actual neighborhood. But under 350, yeah, St. Cloud's a fantastic place to get something under 350 or down to 400 for sure. You got a lot of when you're it's South Orlando where you're going to be looking south. Like if you look at where Orlando is, Haines City, Winter Haven, St. Cloud, a lot of those areas where you're able to still get something in the townhouse in the under sub 400, if you will. Kevin, man, good question, my friend. Props to you. My daughter is going to UCF next year. Her major classes will be downtown Creative Village. Is this attracting new business to the area yet? So yes and no. It's more so coming. You've got Creative Village. I'm very bullish on, because you've got EA Entertainment there. If you've ever played Madden before, or a million other different video games, a lot of them. My son plays Madden on PS5, and I play with him now from time to time. And it's cool when they go to break, they say, back to the studios in downtown Orlando, Creative Village, because that's where it's at. It's very cool. Anyways, this is what's going on right down that area. If you're not familiar with where he's talking about, by the way, where Creative Village is, you got I-4 up here, and then up top is Colonial running to the north. And if you zoom in, you've got Luminary Green, and then here's that EA Orlando I was just talking about. And you got a lot of stuff. Orange County Public Schools is right here. You've got the Amelia City of Orlando Garage. You've got so much stuff. The Monroe's right here. You've got the Walt Disney Culinary School here, which is not like run by Disney. It's just sponsored by Disney, by the way. A lot of cool stuff going on here. And right over on this side, you've got the Bob Carr Theater, which right now looks like this. Not awesome. Sorry, Kevin. I'm just going to get rid of your comment there, but I just want to follow up with what you're saying. So right there, Bob Carr Theater, they're kind of trying to envision this as a town square for tech, which would really pair very well with all of the stuff that's going on with Creative Village. Now, over the past week, you had basically, or actually, no, is this yesterday? This is yesterday. They approved a new firm that's going to be redoing this Bob Carr Theater, and then starting to extend out sort of that tech town square. And so they approved the developer who's going to be doing this adaptive reuse project. Now, I think adaptive reuse is incredible. If you look at the whole Church Street station and what Ryan Young is doing with Interstruct and a lot of the buildings that they're doing, they're taking these old decrepit buildings, or just, like Bob Carr was an iconic and is an iconic building, but it needs so much love and so much renovation. And so they're finally investing in this, and the city's coming alongside of these developers to help fast track some of the development, so that way we can redo town the way that downtown looks with the quickness. And so before, where you had a lot of stuff that was just sitting there waiting, now the city's getting behind it, which I think is great. And obviously the state is getting behind the growth. So your question to your daughter being in Creative Village, there's not a ton down there yet, but it's definitely coming, and something that's really exciting to pay attention to. Let me go over here. I missed a ton of questions, or at least shout outs. Let me see what's going on. Fallon Moore says she's checking in from Cleveland. Fallon's a good agent of ours, but hanging out with family. So good to see you. Appreciate you checking in. Ahmed says, what are my thoughts on Eden, build to rent, ARF, Narcoossee, and St. Cloud? Listen, I'm not a big fan of build to rent, but at the same time, I know it fits a certain demographic. And so unfortunately, the reason I'm not a fan of build to rent is just because I feel like it gets you excited about the product. You build it, then you rent it forever. You never own it. I'm kind of in the thing of like people should own houses and that we should get corporations out of single family property. That being said, like that area, the Narcoossee Strip up and down St. Cloud, is pretty great. I mean, there's so much coming to that area and already there. Like there's not every, there's many of the creature comforts that you would want to be there. So it makes a really good place to live. King Jose checking in. Happy Thursday. Good to see you, man. Hope you're out there doing some cool content. As you normally do, my friend. Marcus says, Florida is the best state to own residential real estate. Well, as of today, it just got a little bit stronger. That is very sure. Very much so. Let me go over here. I've got some other things to chat about, specifically real estate. I thought this was kind of an interesting thing. So where are we at for real estate, I think is a question that's always on my mind. So what are national interest rates doing right now? Depending on the loan type, you are going to be ranging anywhere from low sixes up to high sixes. And that's really kind of changed or not changed for the past month or so. We ticked up over 7% and then we trickled down, then we trickled back up a little bit. But I've got some exciting stuff to talk about next week, actually, in regards to mortgage that I'm excited to chat with you guys about. But overall, how are we doing as a real estate, as like Orlando real estate? So over the past week, I pull this up every time we go live. Over the past week, this is the 7-day forecast or look back for Osceola, Orange, Lake, Polk, and Seminole counties, which is what I consider Central Florida. There were 1,495 new listings that hit the market, which is about the same as last week, actually. And then if you look here, there's pending. This is the number I want to show you guys, because I think it's exciting when you're thinking about being a homeowner and or what's going on in the market. There's 1,500 that went pending. So pending is outpacing new listings. That's a good thing. We look at solds here and they were sliding back for a while. Now they're starting to pick up again, which is kind of what we expect for this time of year. Honestly, it's not something that, we don't usually see a slowdown. So the fact that we're still moving forward is really good. What's going on, my friend? Checking out down in Miami. Coffee. It's too late for coffee, man. I'm getting too old to drink coffee at 7:30 at night. I really am. Sean says, I've always dreamed of living in Golden Oak, and I know they're expensive, but any idea why the same houses have been for sale for so long without them selling? It's not build quality. It's not poor build quality or something. Very good. Good. Yeah, good point, my man. So I feel like there's been a couple sales in Golden Oak that people have looked at and said like, oh, they got $1,300 a square foot. I want $1,300 a square foot. If you look over the past couple years, prices have really jumped though. There was a house that went in there. God, I want to show you guys this house. It is insane. There's a house that went active for $13 million and then sold in like 3 days. And I was like, man, 13 million seems aggressive, but like, I get it. And there's 6 houses for sale right now in Golden Oak. And most of them have been sitting for, like you mentioned, a few months. But this guy right here, Summer Meadow, this was listed by Golden Oak Realty for $13.5 million, 8,400 square feet, 7 bedrooms, 7.5 baths. And you got to look at this house. Let me get rid of, sorry, your comment there, John. This house was absolutely wild inside. Nice little courtyard, good pool, got the American flag in the bottom of the pool. Obviously, why not? Backs up to conservation. Just really clean inside. And a lot of people will ask me about Golden Oak and think that it's similar to Reunion and that there's a lot of crazy themes. And there's really not. There's some houses that have themed rooms and little accents, but for the most part, they're just really high-end, gorgeous houses with some of the best builders in Orlando. Kitchen's kind of wild with the blue there. Let's see. There's a couple things. Here we go. We got this is a wild thing. They've got the prep kitchen, looks better than most people's kitchen in Orlando, which is kind of cool. This office was to absolute die for. So yeah, there's some houses that will be listed for quite some time, and maybe they're shooting for the moon, shooting a little higher than the market value would want because they saw one of their neighbors do it. And so a lot of times, you go into some of these cookie cutter neighborhoods and it's like it's $400 a square foot. And it doesn't vary very much. Whereas Golden Oak, you've got the older houses, you got the newer houses, you got the Four Seasons section, very similar to like Isleworth or any of these higher end neighborhoods. So that's it. That's my opinion. I think that some people maybe overpriced for their finishes. Other people shot for the moon, but they had amazing finishes and go pending. Awesome. I love it. One of my favorite neighborhoods. Kevin says, on the topic of new businesses, Salt Shack just opened in Claremont, on the water, beach, boat access, palm trees, almost like being on the coast. Man, I haven't been to the salt shack yet, so now you got my mouth watering. I gotta go check it out. Kevin say that's kind of house my want. Kevin K said that's the house kind of house my wife wanted, but we settled on Taylor Morrison at Ovation. It's close, buddy. It's close. I get it. 13 million. And Taylor Morrison's a great builder, though. So I mean, for the most part, I hope you love it. That Ovation area, great location. Ken says, checking in from Nebraska, we had 8 inches of snow the other day with 65-mile-an-hour winds. We've been working with Lindsay. She's awesome. Looking forward to moving to Mineola. That's incredible. So excited for you. Lindsay's amazing. What a kind soul. Every time when I think about Lindsay, I think kind soul, but don't get in front of her in a negotiation because she'll cut somebody on your behalf. So you're in good hands. John says, hey, I'm living in Great Falls, Virginia. Thanks for the opinion on Golden Oaks. Yeah, of course. Constance says, okay, Ken, how about a live about announcements on home value? Can you over enhance? Ken, how about the live about enhancements in home value? You mean like how do you enhance your home's value? Like I could do that for sure. Let me do a couple other things though. I want to jump into some other questions that were asked prior to. All right, so some of you guys asked last week, and I wanted to go back around. Was Lake Sheen. What was like Lake Sheen Sound? And for those of you who don't know where this is a little development off of, this is actually going to go to our next story. So it actually pairs well. It's like I planned these. Lake Sheen, this is like Windermere right here. You got Disney right over on this side. You've got Winter Garden Vineland. This road kind of goes right up and through the middle of the screen here. And then as it connects over to Lake Tibet, you've got Lake Sheen. It's not a huge lake, but it is beautiful. And then all the way down here, you've got this just strip of houses that are going in. And there's just been this massive billboard that says Lake Sheen Sound by Element Homes. And it's been there for years, 2 or 3 years at least. And somebody asked me what's going on. It looks like there's some movement over there. And you're absolutely right. They actually listed the entire neighborhood. So this seems to be something that Element's doing that's different. And I like Element Homes. They're a smaller Orlando-based home builder. They're more on the luxury side. They're doing some really cool stuff around Orlando. Actually, one of my favorite houses I've ever seen in Windermere was an Element home. But here's what the houses are going to look like for those that are asking. Oh, going back to before I had a little ADD moment there. They're going to be doing spec houses in the entire neighborhood, which is different because most luxury home builders, especially when you're looking at $500 to $600 a square foot, $400 to $600 a square foot, you get to pick everything, right? You get to do like finishes, the flooring, you get to pick it all and make it your own. They decided, hey, there's only a certain amount of houses here. And because of the location, we know there's going to sell like hotcakes. So they're going to build some spec houses instead. We'll see if it plays out. What is it on from Dodgeball? Old Play Cotton. We'll see if this is going to play out. Sheen Sound. So this is one of the houses they listed. This is 3,600 square feet. 3692, 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths. And again, they do, I think, a good job. This is, here we go. Yeah, I just can actually see on the screen here. This is, no, where'd it go? Let's go through here. There we go. Boom, and boom. There you go. You get to see the whole neighborhood. So they're going to have 3 lots that are on the water. You can see one of them's already being built. And then you've got the rest of the 14 lots kind of just in a row here. Really small, but beautiful view back there. I don't believe it's going to be gated. I'll have to double check that. I don't believe that they would put a gate on something that small. But this is what they look like. And the range for the properties so far that they've got listed are 1.8 to 2.1. So I've been asked this question probably 20 times over the past 2 or 3 years. So I figure why not tell you guys a little bit about it. But let's talk about this sort of trend on some of these builders that are building smaller neighborhoods and smaller houses. One of my favorite new websites that I grab data from, it's called Resi Club Analytics. All they do is talk about residential homes and what's going on, data-driven decisions, which I like to play an expressive on the internet, but I'm really more of an analytic kind of guy and try to make decisions based on that. And so this is all done. It says housing affordability is so strained that some home builders are turning to smaller builds in smaller neighborhoods. The median square footage for new construction fell by 3% in 2023, marking the biggest single-year dip over the past decade. Now you start going through some of the data here. They talk about how D.R. Horton said overall that they had about a 3% dip in pricing. And you look at this is the graph that I thought was fascinating. So in 2023, you had average new construction median home was 2,300 square feet. Now it's about 2,000 square feet. If it says the data that they pulled at the top, the median square footage for existing family single homes fell to 1,600 square feet. And for new construction, it was about 2,000. So I grew up in a house. Listen, I grew up in the hood, not the hood. It was a beautiful, like middle class neighborhood, but like we lived in 800 or 900 square feet and it was fine. It was 2 bedroom, 2 bath, totally fine. My wife grew up in a house that was 1,100 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It was fine. So the fact that that most people live in 3,000 square feet now or 2,800 square feet is kind of wild to me. Um, are they going to be able to turn the tides on affordability by bringing the overall size of homes down? It'll be interesting. They've already been doing this with development costs where you start seeing the neighborhoods get more and more homes closer and closer together. They do that so the developer can make more money, but they also try to keep it a bit more affordable for people because land costs and development costs are out of control. So, my question to you is that if you found that perfect house in the great location, now perfect house is obviously subjective, but if you found a great house in a great location and maybe the finishes were really nice, like it actually came with quartz and nice floors and it was a good layout, does 1,600 square feet seem okay to you? And I'm not talking about a townhouse. Like, would you live in like maybe a bungalow or a ranch style house where it's all on one level? Because I see that that's a really easy way that we can fight affordability, people kind of getting around the idea that they need 3,000 square feet. Um, it's interesting. I look at like Waterley over in Winter Garden, and that neighborhood is so highly amenitized. They've got three different amenities and soccer fields and all of these other crazy things that are going on there. But the houses are pretty like, they're 1,800 square feet to 2,600 square feet. Some of them are a little bit bigger, but for the most part, they're like a little lower than the median. And the lots are mostly quite small. And they're selling the amenity, keeping the house prices lower than the rest of their area. So I think it's an interesting trend. I'm just sort of curious. Clark says, "Hey, smaller home equals less power to heat and cool. I'm all about it." Condo life, my man, right? Clark. I mean, condo life that's sometimes the best. Living with lung cancer, my story. Oh man, thanks for checking in. It says, "Yes, I don't want to clean. I'm ready to buy a smaller house." Golden Oaks, or John says, "Going to the Golden Oaks going back to Golden Oaks, have they started any construction in the Four Seasons?" Yeah, man, I was there for dinner the other day. Um, and the pylons are up. And they got it all kind of closed off. Now they haven't released pricing or anything like that or layouts. But the fact that there's a lot of like dirt being moved and now pylons going up, it's very exciting in terms of what's coming. Quentin says, anything new coming to College Park? You have to be a little bit more specific. What you mean there about new? New. I've actually talked to this one builder. I think does a good job. They're called Domain. They've been doing a bunch of infill homes there, tearing down the smaller houses and building bigger ones in their space. But for a builder to buy a house, tear it down, and build something, it has to be as big as possible on the lot size. But what's going on? Daniel says, "Am I holding any Bitcoin?" I have a little bit. I have a little bit of Bitcoin. I didn't buy it recently, so let's see. DCL Dan says, how can I contact you to get a pool vendor recommendation? DM me over on Instagram. I've got 2 or 3 that I can recommend depending on the area of town you're in. David, man, it's Golden Oak heavy tonight. I'm okay with it. Totally fine. I love that place. So can somebody live in Golden Oak permanently? Are those homes solely intended for vacation homes? No. Although pre-pandemic, there were a lot more people that use them for their second or third home. You can live there full time. There's no restriction on that. Actually, well, I mean, 2 of my clients that live there, they live there as a second home, but the other 2 that live there full time. So I think the pandemic changed a lot of things where more and more people were living there full time. And I still see that trending in that direction. Other places, like if you look over at the Grove, right? Very different than Golden Oak, obviously, but many people will reach out to us about it. The Grove is like a condo hotel product that is in Winter Garden. It's on the border of Kissimmee and Winter Garden. You can only live there for 6 months on the dot. And then they kick you out. You can leave for 2 or 3 days and then come back, but you can't live in your own place for longer than 6 months because of the way that it's zoned. And so there are those kind of neighborhoods around here and different communities to pay attention to. Anna says, hey, Ken. Hi. What's a good neighborhood to purchase a small house in the 450 max relocating from Chicago? So let me know down below. Anna, like, are you open to a townhouse? That opens up your world a lot more. There's plenty of places downtown that you can still get something for 450, a little smaller house, kind of the houses I was talking about earlier. It just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for new construction and a home, you're probably looking at like a Polk County, or probably like a Polk County would be a place to start if you're looking for like a single family home. Ariel says, is Osteen a good place to live? I don't know. I unfortunately don't know where Osteen is. So feel free to keep dropping some questions down below. I'd love to answer these along the way. Let's see here. I had some other things I wanted to chat with you guys about. All right, a couple more here, and I'm going to wrap up. But just make sure if you have any questions along the way, I'm happy to answer. If I have the answers, if I don't have the answers, like the Osteen question, I will let you know, because I don't know all things, but I do know some things. Let's talk about what's going on in the greater Orlando area as well, about the real estate piece, because I do like to back up kind of what I was talking about earlier, where you have kind of the balanced market going on with the market watch of new listings to pendings. So this is another report, and it just kind of, it says something very similar, but sort of breaks it up by single family homes and then price brackets and what are things doing. And so I think this is always interesting. If you look at the month supply of homes, it's on average about 3 to 3.5, which is about normal, about balance. This is the thing that shocked me though today when I logged in. Average original list price is now pushing almost $600,000. Now, this is, again, single family properties in those 5 counties that I was talking about. So this doesn't include condos, townhouses, condotels, villas, all those kind of things, which will bring the average down sub 500. But in terms of a single family property, 589. And then the average sales price over the past week was 557. Again, that was up week after week. Now, if you look here, people, if they ask me, this is a question our team and I, my real estate team, we get asked often. If you are looking to buy a house or you see it online, how much underneath that price can I actually get? And this is kind of subjective, because if the seller priced it like right on, like the one in Golden Oak for 13 million that sold in 2 days, then they're going to sell right away. And there's really no deal to be had. But on average, I'm always curious myself. And so if you look here, the original list price to final sales price was 94%, which is actually one of the lower ones that it's been recently. And then the final list to sale price is 97%. So if you look at on average, you're like 3-ish% off what you see online. And so again, your real estate agents, hopefully it's our team, but if it's not our team, your real estate agent should be able to kind of point you in the right direction if it's priced right or not. But if it's been sitting out there for a few weeks or a month, then that's kind of the discount that we're seeing across the board for single family properties is about 3%. So I find that interesting. Oh, I love this question. Love this question. So Constance was going back to her question earlier. She said, what I mean by enhancements is like you build and enhance your new construction with like screened, extended lanai, pool. Will that improve the value of the house, or is it only as good as the comps? Gosh, I love that question. So when we work with new construction clients, I usually go to the design center and I'll tell them, like, hey, I know you want the level 6 cabinetry, but your neighborhood that you're building in pretty much has level 3 throughout. And so you might want to spend $30,000 on better cabinets. But when you call me to sell in 5 years, don't say, well, remember, I got those cabinets, because most people don't care. They're going to walk through, and like I do point out, like if they're dovetail drawers or they're soft close, and there's some little niceties that you can do. But really, the difference between a 3 and a 5 or a 6 cabinet only matters to you. Now you can add a pool and a hot tub. My wife and I right now, we're extending the back of our lanai. We opted not to do a pool. I wish I had my laptop. I'd show you guys what we're doing. Oh goodness. Go. Gotta love that. Oop, I'm back. We're extending the back of our house out from our lanai like 20 feet with a little A-frame. And just to give us some more space, because we want to entertain and we've got kids and outdoor space, but it's screened in there. I know for a fact that 30% of my money I'm spending on this, I will not get back in return, but I'll appreciate it. And we're going to live there, and it will be a nicety when it's time to sell. People will love this thing, but I know an outdoor kitchen and some extra outdoor space, it's not going to get me a huge ROI. Pre-pandemic, you could have got a pool in most neighborhoods and maybe broke even on a pool. Now you're not going to get it. Unfortunately, you're probably going to lose again 20 to 25%. Where things get different is that if you're looking at some of these resort market neighborhoods, like down in Kissimmee is an interesting one. There's like Bella Vita and some of these other neighborhoods where everybody has a pool and you're the only one that doesn't. That will hurt you significantly. And so you might want to opt for it. But anyways, screened in back porches and those kind of things, like rarely are you getting a maximum ROI where it's like you're getting the cost you paid plus. The only time that happens is if you are adding square footage, you're adding a bathroom, you're adding a bedroom where it didn't exist before. Value add, like that's when people say value add, it's really more like adding some of the big ticket things that weren't there before. Or taking like an old house that has stuff from the 60s, 70s, 80s and bringing it up to today. There's ways that you can do that. But very, very rarely on new construction are you going to add a huge ticket item and then get all of it back plus some, unfortunately, the way that things are working today. I hope that helps, Constance. Clark says, biggest bang for your buck on upgrades are kitchens and baths. That's very true. I had a client of mine reach out and they're like, hey, we took carpet and we just spent a very big, it was like $40,000 or $50,000 on new floors. And so we're probably going to get at least that plus back in resale, right? And I was like, unfortunately, no, because what we have to do is we go and look at all the houses for sale, everything pending and everything sold over the past 6 months. And then I look and I say, okay, well, this house sold at 600,000 with carpet and no upgrades. These houses sold for 625 with nice hardwood floors. Yes, I know the difference costed more, but the market overall is saying that new floors and paint, some other stuff is only worth $25,000 in that example. And so, yeah, I wish it's like a little bit easier, but it's neighborhood to neighborhood. It's amenity to amenity, but you cannot go wrong adding bedrooms, baths, square footage. That's almost straight cash, homie. David Brownell says, how much does it cost to add a pool now? It depends if you're going to add a spa, if you're going to add a water feature, if you're going to add lights, if you're going to go Pebble Tech, or if you're going to go, there's like all of these different things, but between low end 85, high end 250. I mean, like you can go Nate and crazy. But on average, we're seeing our clients that are doing new construction spending roughly $100,000 to $120,000. Will Lowe says the quote I got for a pool in South Florida was 90K. Yeah. DC says, DC, like DEEC, you see, good for you. Says, should I go with a pre-owned home in Groveland or new construction in Trinity Lakes? Thank you. The question there, I think it's so bubble, like right on the bubble where you could go either way. How long do you plan on staying there? I think Groveland is like a growth area. And I think that over the next 5 to 7 years, it's going to be great. But Trinity Lakes having something brand new and not having to touch anything for 10 years is really going to be pretty good. Where resale in Groveland, like a lot of the resale we show out there was built 10, 15 years ago. And it's right on the cusp of needing everything: HVAC, water tank, roof, windows, kitchen, baths, flooring. And so you start adding all that stuff up. You're like, oh, Trinity Lakes, new construction, I'm good to go. But if you're going to use maybe Groveland as a holdover home, you're going to buy it, settled in the area, sell in 2 or 3 years, then you go with resale in Groveland. That would be my opinion. Because I think in 2 or 3 years, you'll get that money back. Any costs of holding or trading, you'll easily get it back. Whereas new construction in Trinity Lakes, new construction, you're always going to pay a premium. And so you're probably not going to recover that as fast as you would a holdover home in Groveland. Hopefully that makes sense to you there, how I put it. Anna says, going back to her question on 450 or under, looking for a townhouse or single family home in Orlando area. Yeah. So I think, I mean, are you new construction? Or are you open to resale? That would be a good question. Last question I'll ask you, and then I'll narrow it down one more time. Kevin K says, hey, have you been keeping up with the latest Epic Universe releases? Looks like it's going to be a great new park. I got to show you something. So as you guys know, we're on the internet. You guys are watching. Welcome. So Universal sent us this thing. This is like the new portal. This is actually every probably 2 or 3 months, they're sending us a new key. So this was How to Train Your Dragon came through. We've got the new stuff coming through. Anyhow, I have been, and it's very cool. And they keep sending us media releases. It's one of the coolest things I get to do. And today they announced How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Burke. And I like how to Train Your Dragon. I think it's very, very cool. But after I saw all the releases today, I got even more in love because you look at there's going to be a stage show. There's going to be multiple rides. There's going to be a mead hall. There's going to be so many cool things that people didn't know were coming. And so if you haven't followed us over on Instagram at the Orlando Reel, my partner Chase actually put together a really great breakdown of this. If you're interested with fly throughs and conceptual drawings, but then also some real footage, it's very cool. Check it out. Big, big ups. Drops my original one, Celestial Park. So stinking cool. All right, question. A couple more, and we will wrap up for tonight. Miami Coffee says, I would like to refer others looking to move to the Orlando area. How do I contact your company? So the orlandoreel.com/YouTube is the best way to go about it. And one of my beautiful, talented, amazing concierges will call you back and hear all about it. So heck yeah. Pickle says, big fan of Soto Square Pizza. Thank you for the recommendation. We'll definitely return. The other one that's coming for you is Sal's. Now, if Fallon's still watching, she'll tell you how much she likes Sal's. But Dylan and Chase went to go review it over the past week. They said it's the best pizza in all of Orlando. So much so that, like, you know, they asked us to come out, and they usually comp us like some food just to try it, and then we'll give our honest review. But then my team went back afterwards and bought more pizza to take home. That's how much they liked it. So rave reviews. Oh gosh. Steve says, do you think Golden Oak has gotten overpriced and out of reach now? I mean, hell, or heck, I mean, it was like $1.5 million 12 years ago, and now it's 5 to 13 million today. So for some people, it's way out of reach, but for others, it's second and third home. So I obviously just depends on where you're at. Somebody asked me that exact question. Actually, a client of mine that was weighing Isleworth, Lake Nona Golf and Country, Golden Oak, just like some of the gated higher end neighborhoods. And they're like, well, which one of these do you feel like has peaked? I just believe that where we're at with inflation and as interest rates come down and as things pick back up, I just don't know that we have peaked. I think that we're probably going to still see some appreciation. Are we going to see the $1 million a year appreciation? Probably not. No, that seems a little aggressive. But you know, are we going to see that 3 to 5% appreciation, which is good? That's like where we want to be. That 2 to 5%, really. That's what I see happening. So, my opinion. There we go. Fallon checked in. Sal can do no wrong. Sal's Pizza. Check it out. We're gonna have a whole review next week. Although, if you're a Detroit fan, as Pickles is, Soto Pizza. It's like Jets. If you have Jets where you're from, Soto Pizza. So good. What else? I think I missed a couple other questions, but if I did, I apologize. And if it's something that's more of a burning question, check me out over on Instagram at Ken Posick. My name right there. I DM with y'all all the time about stuff, and make sure you send me stuff. Like I know a lot about Orlando because people send me stuff as they find it. Like, hey, did you know this new development's coming out? Hey, did you check out this pizza place? I found Soto because I think 4 people sent it to me and I had to go try it. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. And if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, we help people relocating, but we also help people relocating out. We've gotten plenty of clients where they get jobs somewhere else. And so we're helping a lot of sellers now as well. And so we're here to help when the time comes, but thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Thursday night. See you guys soon.